But her primary objection then to divine command theory is concerned with the third commitment. She says, I don't think that commands from God are the only way or even the typical way in which human beings incur moral obligations. So there's something outside of God's commands or prohibitions that that give people moral obligations. They're a way, but not the only way, or at least not the typical way that humanity incurs those moral obligations.
Right. And notice again, she's going to have to say this because this is her position as a natural law ethicist, right?
Exactly.
That our moral obligations come from more than just God's commands. And so she says, contrary to divine command theory, she holds that we can and often are obligated to behave in specific ways, even if God has not commanded us to act in those ways, right? So she's often heard people speak like this, about discerning what God would or does want, or how it would be best for them to behave considering various factors in their life situations, right? But rarely, she says, has she heard someone say that God told her that she must do something, although occasionally she's kind of heard this from people.
Sure.
And so notice, she says, if divine command theory is correct, those ordinary people who merely, in scare quotes here, correctly discern that a particular course of action would be the only good moral course of action are not obligated to act in that way that they have seen to be the only good course of action. So notice, if indeed only the commands of God gave us moral obligations or prohibitions with regard to that, right? What about all of these things that we kind of know that are good and we ought to do anyway before we're even presented with commands from God, right? And so that's the point she's raising here. There are things here outside the commands of God that people are aware of and that they do, and they know that they're obligated to do. Where does that come from? It's over and above the commands, and that's the point that she is getting at here. And of course, again, she has to say this with regard to her position as a natural law ethicist, right?
Right. So think about either back to your childhood, so many years ago, me, or having children today, and you're commanding them, clean up your room, do your homework, something along those lines. Those are commands. However, a good child, a good you, will know, man, I really should clean up my room. There are certain innate functions of me that should require me to complete my schoolwork before I hop on the Nintendo box and play video games. Or I'm objectively a good student. I'm known to be of good moral and sound kid nature. And so I will almost always clean up my room. In fact, if you see my room uncleaned, then you know that I must be feeling ill or something along those lines. So, that you don't need, her point being, you don't need a command in order to know you should do your homework. The child should clean up the room, and the command is only a kind of you should know. I shouldn't have to tell you this type response.
Right.
Type deal.